and welcome to Second Chances with Christy Belz podcast. I'm your host, Christy Belz. Enjoy our array of talented, open-hearted guests and their thoughtfully curated stories of second chances, life-changing choices, and new perspectives. We are here to empower you on second chances in your life. I'm so excited to have my guest today, Tania Zeigler. Tania is an executive coach of Burn Bright Consulting and Coaching. She's a certified executive coach with 20 years of experience in diverse leadership roles within the healthcare, government, and insurance agencies and in the non-for-profit sector. She spent many of those years working to make healthcare more affordable, equitable, and compassionate for patients and families. Serving as a leader afforded her the opportunity and privilege of developing leaders and teams. Her greatest accomplishment is that she helped her employees and colleagues find joy, balance, and new possibilities for their careers and in their lives. Named Denver Business Journal 40 Under 40 Outstanding Leader, she's a graduate of the Leadership Coaching Program at the Georgetown Institute for Transformational Leadership, a coactive certified coach and certified in the Leadership Circle Profile, and an EQI 2.0 Emotional Intelligence 360 instrument. She has a particular passion for catalyzing brilliance within every leader through deep listening, cultural curiosity, and awareness, and exploring values, identity, purpose, and deeply held desires for personal growth. Her passion for leadership is matched by her commitment to strengthening her community. As the chair of the board of the trustees for the Women's Foundation of Colorado, she worked with leaders around the state to advance economic equity for Colorado women and families. She's also co-chair of the Campus Improvement Campaign for Bluff Lake Nature Center. When she's not coaching, she passes time Googling recipes on the New York Times cooking app, playing tennis, running, nurturing close friendships, and when there isn't a global pandemic, traveling as much as possible. She lives in Denver with her husband and 2 sons. Welcome, Tania Zeigler. I'm just going to say welcome, Tania Zeigler, to the podcast. I'm so delighted to have you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I mean, we go back more than 20 years.
More than 20 years, yeah.
Special BC. To me to have this conversation.
I call that BC, before Charlie and before children, because it's been that long. Yeah. So I start everything I do with something I call permission to pause. So if you would just, and the audience participates, we just take a minute to just close our eyes if we're comfortable, if you can, or just take a deep breath. And you're just going to find that center point in you. Bringing ourselves into this moment, this time. Always look for that still, small space inside of me, that silence. Yeah, I call it permission to pause because we have to remind ourselves, don't we? Particularly as women, to pause, just take a moment, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a practice.
A good reminder. Yeah.
It's a practice, isn't it?
Oops.
Yeah. Well, yes, we have known each other for a very, very long time. I always like to start the podcast with, my guest, and Tania and I met each other at least over 20 years ago. Maybe, was Charlie born? Was Charlie on the planet when we met? He must have.
I don't think so. It would have been in 2003, I think, that we met.
Okay, so Charlie was 3, so he was born in 2000.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so it wasn't BC before Charlie, but it was before children for the host.
And before my children.
And before your children, exactly. Yes. Tania and I met through our husbands, who were work partners at the time, doing some really fun projects in the Denver area. And then Tania was working in a nonprofit healthcare sector, and I recruited her to come participate on my board of directors when I was running the small nonprofit called Project Wise on the west side of town. And so we came together working collaboratively in that field and just having a great time together, and then have maintained our friendships. And over time, watched our children grow up. I can't believe yours are in college and mine's already emancipated. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, it is so crazy. Like, life is interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So this is your journey. Like, I love to share my podcast with powerful women. This series I'm doing, it just keeps going because there's so many of you on the planet right now that I really want to talk to and share stories. about. And so being a powerful woman, both in business and in your life, in your own business and in the different sectors that I read about in your bio, and my podcast is called Second Chances because my belief is that every moment is a second chance to choose again. And that we have opportunities all the time just to rethink it and redo it and start over and do it again. And right. So, oh God, a second chances. Here we are again. But I want to hear about your journey. I want to hear about you. And we talked about some stories, and I know you have a lot of second chance stories, but yeah, tell us what got you here. I love your background story of being from Wisconsin and growing up on a farm. Start there just a little bit, and then let's bring us into the current time, and then we'll talk about some of these pain points or moments that you had to choose again.
Yeah, so I had a pretty humble upbringing. I was born and raised in a small town in Wisconsin called Fond du Lac, and grew up on a lake near farms, not on a farm, but the daughter of a South Korean immigrant, and who's my mom, and a Kansas farm boy. So I like to say I'm half Korean, half Kansan.
Go Kansas.
I know, go Kansas. I really, of course, I was raised by both of my parents, but my dad was, a bit of a workaholic. He, would wake up at 4 a.m. and, he ran a business, and my mom kind of took care of the home, right, and the girls. And she herself was a nurse, but once she had me, I'm the second of three girls, she decided to stay home and basically raise three fierce women who could, take flight once we were ready. And, I just admire just the bravery and courage that she had and how she raised us and found opportunities for us with academics, but also with music. I'm a violinist. I started playing at age 4 and eventually studied violin performance at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I majored in bacteriology as well because I thought I was going to be a doctor. Kenneth, my husband, likes to make fun of the fact that I really don't know that much about science, even though I have a degree in it. Went to graduate school at UNC Chapel Hill. That's where I met Kenneth. He was in a 3-year graduate program, MBA and master's in city and regional planning, and I was getting a master's in medical journalism. Really, the reason I got that degree was I had this real sense that really important public health information wasn't understandable and usable by the public. And so I wanted to learn how to translate health information into information that people could use. And started my career here in Denver. We decided to move here for that position you were talking about, where Kenneth and Ferd worked together. And started out my kind of real career at the National Institutes of Health up in Bethesda, Maryland, before moving out to Denver and working for Kaiser Permanente. So I got to eventually lead corporate communications at Kaiser. Those years at Kaiser, gosh, they were so special. I know you recently had Donna Lynn on your podcast, and she had played such a huge, just pivotal role in my career. She took a chance on me, and I was able to put a business case in front of her and build out a department that was focused on member experience. So once again, I was really interested in and committed to making healthcare experiences compassionate, safe, equitable. And I did that work. Understandable, exactly. So we worked with our physicians and their teams on bedside manner and communications and service and making things frictionless and a little bit easier for people who are, maybe not well and are going through a tough time. So really just loved my time there and found it very fulfilling. And rounded out the 17 years that I spent at Kaiser with the last 5 years spent at the national offices for Kaiser, working on digital strategy and performance. Got to build out a new team there as well. That's something that I love to do, is build things from scratch, put together the right team, and go after a really bold vision. And that's what I got to do in my last years at Kaiser. And then, let's see, 6 days before the pandemic shutdown was my last day at Kaiser.
Didn't know that.
Isn't that wild?
So wild.
Oh my goodness. I could not have timed it better. Kenneth and I had been talking for a while about me taking a little bit of a step back from work. We both have had really demanding jobs for many years, and we have 2 boys. Phoenix, who is now 18, I had him, I think, right before my first promotion to manager. And I don't think I worked too much during maternity leave, but it was intense. And then I had Griffin 3 years later when I was in my first senior director role. And it was just a lot. And I did a lot of soul searching and deciding how I wanted to parent and be present for my boys and for myself, to show up differently for myself, get into alignment, and decide to take a step back. And then, like I said, 6 days later, the whole world shut down. And I got a taste of what it was like to spend that much time with my family.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I need, maybe it's not working at all. Let's balance that out a little bit. So I decided to go back to school and I became an executive coach.
You started your executive coaching business.
I started Burn Bright Coaching and Consulting in early 2021. It was a little bit scary. I had never started a business before, but it turns out it wasn't really rocket science. And especially when you're doing work that energizes you and fulfills you, things just kind of fall into place. And it felt very, very natural. And I've been coaching leaders at every level, from CEO and executive directors to people who want to become managers or, are looking to rise within their organizations. And I work with teams as well. And it's really been an amazing time.
So I don't think I know this, but when I was reading your bio, that you went to the Georgetown Leadership Program and that you certified in the Leadership Circle. I didn't know that. Or if I did, I'd forgotten. I just had Betsy Leatherman on, the president of the Leadership Circle. I interviewed her.
Yes, I watched it. I have loved all of your interviews.
Oh my gosh. Well, she is ridiculous. I'm not kidding. I have a girl crush on her. Major girl crush. I have since the day I met her, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It's a great organization and such a powerful tool.
I agree.
If an employer will pay for it, I encourage every client to take the Leadership Circle Profile 360. It's just this, really, it's the universal, model of leadership and the insights you get from it. Just the self-awareness. It's incredible. You know all that.
I know all that,
But so I went to Georgetown for leadership coaching.
Yeah.
And then I also, just because I'm an overachiever, I went through the coactive coach training and got certified through that. So I'm a CPCC as well. And that was very different from the Georgetown program.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yes. They really complemented each other, but also created a little bit of cognitive dissonance because I was learning such different concepts at the same time.
Yeah. We have a brain that can handle all of that, Tania. Some of us don't. You have the ability to juxtapose both sides of the brain. I'm like, nope. So let's talk about, I'm trying to think where I want to start with you. Let's talk about your culture, because we live in such an interesting time when you talk about having an immigrant parent. You're married to Kenneth Ho, who is a Chinese American. Um, and I loved, I mean, I love your husband, obviously. We've known each other a very long time. We're very, very close compadres with my husband. But I really thought your perspective of learning from Kenneth and his commitment to his culture was really interesting when I was reading over your notes. Do you want to talk about that?
I'm really proud of where I came from. I'm a Wisconsin girl. You can hear it in my nasally accent, especially after I've had a glass of wine. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin was not an easy place to grow up as a minority. It's a mostly white town. And, when I was growing up, I just wished every single day to be white. I mean, I hate to say it so bluntly, but I just yearned for it. And what I realized, of course, in hindsight, is that I was yearning for belonging. And all of us need belonging in order to, thrive in this world, really. I mean, we are social creatures, and we thrive on connection and relationships and love.
Yep.
And feeling like an outsider and being reminded on a daily basis that I was an outsider was really painful.
Yeah.
It was different things at different stages, right? So when I was really small, it was, I remember walking to school and this boy grabbing his sister and taking her to the other side of the street, saying, "We're not going to walk on the same side of the street as those Japs." And of course, I'm not Japanese. We're just sort of all lumped into this, group together. So like teasing and things like that. I'll and it's like little painful memories, like a seventh grade sleepover, a game of kiss tag where I was, running. They said go, and I was running around, and suddenly I realized that no one was chasing me. I was.
Oh.
I know my heart breaks for that little time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I just so in my like high school years, I worked really hard. I studied. I played on the tennis team. Those are my best memories. But I spent a lot of that time just like planning to get out. And then, coupled with that, my mom, when after she came over to the United States and married my dad, she sponsored some of her sisters coming over from Korea as well. And I had met some of her sisters' husbands, and they weren't necessarily the dynamic, the male female dynamic of women sort of scurrying around serving their husbands, and I saw that, and I was like, well, okay, mental note, like I don't want that for myself. And so when I was growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of pride in being Korean. I was like, gosh, I'm going to identify with the white part of me, and that's it. And then fast forward, and I met Kenneth, and we met in North Carolina when I was editor of the grad schools magazine, UNC. And one of the things we did was feature brilliant grad students so that people would send more money to the school. And so he was my first interview, and first of all, I was like a little confused because when I met him, like here's this tall, very handsome Asian guy, and I really hadn't seen that version of an Asian guy before. And he was so self-assured and so confident. And really from like day one of dating him, it was very clear to me that he was not only self-assured and confident, but he was really grounded in his
Mhm.
heritage and
Mhm.
his ethnicity, his culture, and he was proud of it.
Mhm.
And I loved that about him. And of course, I still do. And it's why, I was able to start getting, more curious about, okay, what are the aspects of my culture that, I'm really
Mhm.
proud of? And
Mhm.
it turns out it's all of it.
Right.
So what is that? Like it's like in my 20s, I had this chance to like fall in love with a whole part of myself that I had
Mhm.
tried to push away.
Mhm. God, I
And
relate to that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
totally, right? It's like, I'm not that. My whole experience was that for all the other a lot of different reasons than my culture.
yes.
But I was like, "I'm not that. There's no way. No
No,
way. I don't
mm-mm.
want that." And then in your 20s, you have to go, "Oh, maybe I am that. Maybe that
Maybe I
is a
am
part of
that. And
maybe that's part of
maybe that's beautiful.
and maybe it is beautiful.
Maybe that's lovable.
Yeah. Maybe
Um,
I am my scrappy mom."
yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I love that story, Tanya. I know that's going to touch hearts in this day and age too. Just, like just embracing who you are. And there's just, I don't, don't get me started on the world right now, but I think we need to hear stories like that. And your
Mm,
husband is just so, his decorum and his beauty, and not just his physical aesthetics, but the way he carries himself is quite extraordinary. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And you
agree.
created two extraordinary children out of that. Amazing, right?
Yeah, we're so lucky. We really are.
Well, you had a challenge though giving birth though. That was another second chance moment that you reflected
Mm.
on. Like that was scary. Tell us what happened.
So, one of the most kind of formative experiences that I've had in my life was the day that I gave birth to Griffin. So, Phoenix is our older son. And like I said, he's 18. Griffin's 3 years behind. So, this was back in July of 2010. And, I had a really great pregnancy with him. The first time around with Phoenix, I was a little bit, anxious and clueless and all the things you are with your first pregnancy. And I probably also didn't take care of my body as well as I could have. But with my second one, I was confident. I, worked out all the time. I ate really healthy. The labor was, smooth. It wasn't pain free, but it was smooth. It was only
Mhm.
7 hours total. He just kind of slipped right out, and um, you know, we were just so thrilled. Like I remember, we had two names picked out for him, Griffin and Oliver, and we couldn't decide. And we finally were like, you know what? When he meets us, we will know.
You will know.
And he came out with this full head of black hair that was standing on end. And we are like, that's a griffin.
Mhm, mhm,
For
mhm,
those of you who don't, know your mythical creatures, a griffin is a part eagle bird, right? And part body of a lion.
mhm,
So just a fierce, fierce creature, and he has absolutely embodied that.
mhm,
After just very shortly after I gave birth, and there was kind of a celebratory mood in the room, things went sideways. Like I said, I don't feel good. And then actually, I don't remember what happened next, but what I was told was that I was unconscious. I began bleeding, profusely. I had a postpartum hemorrhage. And, Kenneth said all the, machines started going wild. They, people started running around. A whole bunch of people came into the room. And very quickly, they, sort of gathered me up and took me into the emergency OR, and one of the nurses handed Griffin to Kenneth, and then they left, and he was left in this silent room
mhm,
with a pool of blood on the floor, holding Griffin, and just like a little dazed and confused, and he just looked at Griffin and he said, "We're gonna be okay, buddy."
mhm.
And man, first of all, I think about how grateful I am for the exceptional care
Yeah.
that I received and modern medicine. I mean, if I had had a home birth or if
Right.
I was in a developing country, I would not be here today.
That's right.
So I have a lot of gratitude. And it's the moment when I learned that Kenneth and Griffin truly would have been okay,
Mm,
because
mm.
of what an amazing, devoted father Kenneth is.
Well, and thank God that wasn't the reality, right? And
Yes,
thank
thank
God you
God.
did have
I
all of
mean,
those. Yeah.
so many reasons.
Yeah.
But it truly was a second chance for me. And it's also the moment when I learned that joy and fear are like flip sides of a
They are
coin.
so close.
They live so close together.
Yeah.
I coach a lot of leaders who have had difficult experiences in throughout their career, or they've had a bit of trauma in their work, and the natural reaction is to kind of shut down, lock up,
Yeah.
armor up, and protect yourself. But the real courage is in choosing to stay open,
That's right.
even
Brene
when
Brown.
you're afraid.
Yeah, Brene Brown says it's called foreboding joy, right? We
Mm,
forebode joy because it's so close, right? But the reality is the continuum. You can't experience one without experiencing the other, right? It's
yeah.
a continuum of this. And so, right, you have to be able, in order to feel that much joy and elation and all of that, you also have to also be able to experience the other side of that, right? Because
Mhm.
it is the perspective, it's the consciousness, it's the expansion of who we are as human beings on the planet. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, man. Well, I'm so thankful that you had a powerful group of doctors and friends and family around you that supported
Yeah.
you through that, because the world would
Yes.
not be the same
Shout
without
out.
you.
Oh, thank you. Shout out to Dr. Kim Warner, who
Yeah,
saved my life,
yeah. Shout
and
out Kim Warner.
an amazing queen of obstetrics and gynecology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just was on a call with a woman who is in Tucson, Arizona, also a gynecologist, oncologist, and man, I mean, she was talking about saving two lives in one night. Same thing, like it can just happen so fast, right? Like
Yes.
just so quickly. And talking about, I did my master's, one of my master's papers on African American women in healthcare, and there is such a horrible experience in the healthcare system for women of color in childbirth, right? They
Mhm.
just don't get
Yep.
the same level of care. And but people don't want to admit that it's true, but it's true, right? Women die every day in childbirth, and you could have
Yeah.
easily, had you not had all of those resources available to you. So
Mhm.
thank God.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally. So you were just talking about leadership. Thanks for sharing that story. That's really vulnerable. And I really appreciate you bringing
Thank
your
you.
heart
Yeah.
into
Thank
that.
you for giving me the platform to share it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were just talking about leaders though, and how leaders experience like this whole leadership is a what would you call it? I would make up something probably with a cuss word in it, but like how would you describe leadership? Like
Oh
being
my
a leader,
gosh.
like
Leadership is climbing a mountain and then climbing back down and climbing another mountain. It's not one peak. It's this.
yeah, I'm enough.
It,
Yeah, I'm enough. Yeah, yep,
and man, those highs are amazing.
yeah,
When you get to walk alongside your team members and see them unlock something new, unlock their potential, or work together to create something beautiful or that makes the world better. I mean, there really is nothing better. I
no,
mean,
yeah.
it's
Speaks for
addictive, of
today. It is kind of addictive. And then there's the valleys, right? And we've all had them.
course.
Yeah, and I'm just curious. Tell us about was about your learning opportunity as a leader in your career, and what was most transformative for you in your your
Oh
journey.
gosh. I'm always like, do I tell this story? And it's like, okay,
That's what
Tanya,
makes it worth telling. Come on.
stay open, stay present, tell your story. Yeah, gosh. So back when I first became a manager, I was leading corporate communications for Kaiser Permanente, and I got promoted during maternity leave and came back into a totally different role from before. I was a supervisor. I had a small team, maybe 3 people, before I left for maternity leave, and then I had this team of about 12 people, and they all professionals, brilliant communicators, and I was their manager. And because I had been so great at being, the member communications coordinator, I was like, well, we're going to rock it. We're going to be an amazing team. As long as everyone does everything how I want it, how I would do it, we will be the A team. This was my philosophy. Um, I was a micromanager. I'm pretty sure I scared people. I did not invest in learning who they were, what they cared about, what they valued. It was dark, and it all culminated on this day when we had a staff meeting, and we were in the boardroom at the Kaiser regional offices. And I had an agenda. It was packed. Very driver Tanya. And I was running through the agenda, and this woman next to me like starts crying. And I have no idea why, because I'm not present to the moment. I'm not paying attention. I'm not curious. I'm not empathetic. And so I also lack the skill to pause the meeting and like do whatever was appropriate. I had no idea. So what did I do? I kept going. So then she's still crying, and then she gets up and she leaves the room. And still, I don't know what to do, so I just keep going. And this gentleman on my team stood up, and he was sitting right across from me. He stood up and he leaned over the table and he said, "If this is the kind of leadership that this organization values, I quit."
Wow.
Yeah. And I still really had no idea what to do. So I said, this meeting is adjourned. And he kind of started to come at me again. And I said, no, really, the meeting needs to be adjourned. So everyone filed out. I left as well. I went up to my office and I shut my door. And I'll admit, I'm pretty embarrassed and ashamed of the fact that I spent the first 15 minutes of crying, feeling sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as I kind of had that cathartic crying experience, it started to shift more toward curiosity. And I remember saying to myself out loud in my office, Tanya, what do you need right now? And what came back at me was, I need a different perspective. So I literally sat down on the floor to physically change my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to meditate and just listen to whatever was going to come my way. After I don't know how long I was sitting there, I got up, collected myself, wiped away my tears, and opened the door. And I called my team over. And I said to them, I want to deeply apologize for my behavior and my lack of leadership. I've screwed up. I haven't the faintest clue how to lead you. But if you will stay here with me today and one at a time come and tell me what your experience has been working for me and what you need to be successful, I will listen.
Ooh, I have chills. Ooh,
And I was scared. I was terrified. I was terrified they were just all going to leave.
Right?
Right? I was terrible.
Or what were they going to say to you when they came in there? Like that too.
Yes. And terrified of what they were going to say. And you know what, man, that day gave me so much faith in humanity. Every one of them stayed. They came in one at a time. I didn't leave until 7 that night. And they told me that I made them feel small. They told me that they didn't feel seen or valued. They told me that they had great ideas and they wanted a chance to let them see the light of day. They told me they do work better than I do. Like they know how to do their job better than I do, which was absolutely fact. And let them just do that, right? And so I just listened with humility. And, it wasn't an overnight change, but I tell you, the next day I got a mentor. I went to HR and I said, how can I get myself a coach? And that was the beginning of my passion for leadership development. And this is the thing about being a coach is you will not be a good coach if you haven't done that work yourself.
That's right.
If you
can't do it,
dug deep, dealt with those, demons, right? And continue to develop yourself. That's when it all began for me.
What a story. Wow. Wow. That was amazing.
No one quit. No one quit. No one quit.
No one quit, right? But, I think, at least from hearing the story, is that your sense of taking responsibility the way you did that was so incredible, right? Because I think, I know, this coaching too, like we all mess up, we all do stupid stuff. We all get all stuck in that reactive in the leadership circle, all down there in the roots of my work, right? That's leadership circle language in the roots, right? Yeah. It's all reactive. It's all our natural tendencies, right?
Yes.
But we uncover it, right? We uncover it, we start to recognize it, and then we grow and develop into, who we're meant to be, really. But it's through doing the hard work. And people know when you're trying to BS them, right?
They do.
Being a good coach or consultant, you cannot BS people through it, at least not for long.
Yeah.
Right?
So true.
People know your heart, they know your truth, capital T. Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to just pop off and be right back with Tania Zeigler. Welcome back to Second Chances with Christy Belz and the amazing Tania Zeigler. Wow, I am so touched by your stories and your authenticity and your vulnerability. I know the audience will be too. Tania, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to shift gears just a little bit here. I like to bring a little levity to the conversation here at the end. And so I have these snapshot questions I like to ask people here towards the end. So first thing that comes to your mind, what's one word that describes where you are in your life right now?
Yes.
Ooh, that's powerful. Yes, I love it. If you had to give yourself a pep talk in 5 words or less, what would it be?
You got this, girl.
You got this, girl. Yeah. What is one small daily ritual that helps you feel grounded?
Between coaching sessions, I find it really important to reset and give myself permission to care for myself. So I always have a 15-minute buffer between those sessions. And what I like to do is, kind of take a full seat in my chair, make sure I'm kind of finding my spine. And then I just make sure that both my feet are on the ground. It's just like, be where you are. And it helps me be present for myself and then be present and open for my clients.
I love that. So important, isn't it, when you're working with people and their energy and, it sounds like grounding to me, like you're grounding yourself in that moment. I do that through permission to pause, through breath, right? Through just stillness, right? There's so many paths to do this, but I love that one. It's beautiful. Who's taught you the most about second chances in your life?
When I think about second chances, I don't necessarily think of them as dramatic resets. Like today I shared, a couple of dramatic stories, right? But for me, they're kind of like quiet moments of awareness, checking in with yourself, especially if you start to notice, that maybe something is a little bit off. And so the second chance is about kind of giving yourself the space to ask, am I in alignment right now? And if not, how can I choose? What can I choose? What path can I choose to bring myself back into alignment? So I would love for everyone listening to hear and to recognize that we have second chances all day long,
every moment,
every day.
Yeah.
And and I wouldn't be a leadership coach if I didn't believe in those second chances. And I have really great role models for it, like my mom as an immigrant who struggled and faced discrimination and racism and some not so fun things, but just man, that woman just keeps getting up and fighting. Like she was just fierce. And I think she taught me that, we're really, really strong and resilient people.
Yes,
so,
we are. Yeah, I love that. I'm reminded in your comments there, Viktor Frankl. I've been rereading Man's Meaning of Life and his whole logotherapy about between stimulation and response, there's a space. And that's where everything's possible, right? It's just that space between the stimulus and what you're going to do with it is that space.
Yes.
Right? This moment, this grounding, this choice. And to me, that is second chances as well. That's what second chances are about every single day.
Yeah.
Every single moment, right? It's a second chance moment. Think again, choose again. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, this is just random and I'm dying to know, what are you reading right now? What would you recommend?
Oh, gosh. Well, I am reading this book called it's by Anne Fadiman. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's called The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down. A Hmong Child, Her American Doctors, and the Collision of Two Cultures.
Wow.
I have a dear friend, dear friend. Her name is Hmong. She's named for the Hmong culture. And she gave me this book. And it's such a gift because I didn't realize how little I knew about the Hmong culture and the idea of a spirit catching you and falling down is actually how they view epilepsy. They believe that when you have that seizure, it's actually the spirit catching you, and people who have it are revered in their culture. They become shamans, and if a shaman comes to your home, like you have to prepare and feed them the right foods and things like that. It's a very, very revered position in their community. And anyway, so this is written by a doctor in Merced who cared for many Hmong people. So it's been fascinating. I'm learning a ton.
Wow.
I have about a stack like this on my nightstand.
So. How many on Audible and how many are you GPT?
It's too much.
The avid love of learning. Well, my dear friend, I just am in deep, deep gratitude for time spent with you, first of all, and again, just for your wisdom and for being the guest that you are on the show. So my guests, my audience, I know is going to love you. You're bringing so many gifts to them and to the planet by just being you here. So let's tell people how they can find you.
You can look me up on LinkedIn. Couple things you'll notice. So first of all, my business is called Burn Bright Coaching and Consulting, and my website is burnbrightcoach.com, not Burn Bright Coaching. And I recently decided to expand my coaching practice, and I'm partnering with Vistage to create a confidential CEO peer advisory group. I am actively recruiting for this group CEOs of medium to large size businesses who want a safe space to kind of slow down, pressure test their biggest ideas and biggest decisions, and just become better leaders and get better results for their businesses.
Yeah.
Really, really excited about that work. Vistage is a special organization, and that you'll see that when you go to my LinkedIn profile.
Awesome.
Okay.
Spell Zeigler for us so we don't, because.
Yes. So I have a unique spelling of my first name, which is Tania, and Zeigler is Zeigler.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is the joy of my life to showcase the voices of people and the messy details of life's journey. As you have experienced, my guests are thriving with purpose and style, but that does not mean that their life is easy and without challenges. I've dedicated my life to you and your journey. Thank you for listening to Second Chances with Christy Belz. Please subscribe and learn more at christybelz.com/second chances.